Our world is finally hitting spring. It's mid-March, and we've been talking a lot about cleaning our windows and cleaning our mirrors. And when I wrote this, I was looking outside at this unbelievably beautiful sunshine, and it was warm and beautiful, and I was this close to pulling the cushions out and sitting outside and writing on the patio so that I could enjoy it, because it was just so amazing and beautiful. And yet there was this winter storm coming in. So as you can see behind me, the storm arrived, and we are doing that. And yet this musing is so beautiful, and I'm excited to share it with you in spite of the snow behind me. I'm excited about spring. I'm excited about being outside and taking in that extra vitamin D. I really love sitting in the sun or maybe the shade and just taking part of Mother Earth while I'm being inspired on what I want to bring out next. Sitting inside while I've been talking about all these mirrors and how we need to clean our own mirrors, it dawned on me that it's going to be time to clean my windows. And I really look forward to doing that as soon as this weather finally passes and we are fully into the beauty of spring. My personal sacred pulse feels the spring, just like the earthly spring is here. As I sat down to write this particular musing, my laptop warned me that my storage space was almost full. And I use Google, and I was just using the free space, and this pop-up also showed me where I had all of my stuff. I found out that my email was in desperate cleaning because I had a lot in there. Now, I am in general not a hoarder. I am a person who likes to kind of get rid of things. I prefer things to have their place because it's easier to put them away. Although I do have a little bit of a habit. If there's a horizontal surface when I first come into the house, I kind of deposit stuff there. And so there is this regular ritual of cleaning up the table or the bench. So while I do have stuff that needs regular cleaning, I do regularly get rid of things. I do regularly just kind of clean it out, and I enjoy cleaning it out, and I enjoy that feeling of removing all that excess baggage that's just hanging everywhere and putting it away. My email is a different story. I need to warn you right here, right now. If you have any issues with more than 10 emails in your email, you might want to just sit down and brace yourself. When I did a little recon, my email was taking up over half of the 15 gigs that was allotted through Google. I had over 900 emails. Yes, insert an audible gasp here because that's a lot of emails. I do, in my defense, have a few emails that all get filtered into one, and then it makes it easier for me to go through them and respond to them and deal with emails as they need to. But still, that's a lot of emails. So I decided it was time for me to sit down and clean this up. So I started deleting. I started looking at things that were there and deleting. Now, some of the emails I still kept because they were sweet. It might have been a kind note from a friend just saying, hey, I was missing you and I love you and a happy birthday or whatever. Maybe it was these videos or a poem or pictures. People send a lot of pictures and share those with me. And so there are a lot that I just kept because they bring so much joy to my heart and a smile to my face. And those are the ones that I absolutely want to keep in my email because I like to go back to them. Now, then there are the other ones that I would keep for documentation. I love to design and decorate places. I've done a couple of remodels. There's always those business things that you keep until the job is done to make sure that you are where you need to be and that you can go back and find any of that documentation when you need to. And then there were emails in there that really, I needed them for documentation at the time. but that time is past and it's over. And while I used to need to keep that path open so that I could go back and find it if I needed to, and I could deal with things if I needed to, I don't need that anymore. So I did keep that avenue open. I did keep that wound open, and now it's time to close it. So I started deleting. And in the past, I've looked at those emails and I've read them. And in reading them, I get even more frustrated and I reopen that wound all the way. And then I get this little, yeah, well, da-da-da-da attitude about it. And I didn't do that this time. I decided it was just time to close the wound and heal and let it all go. So I deleted and I kept deleting and I didn't open them and I just deleted. And 2 hours later, I had deleted over 400 emails. Yeah, 400 emails. I went back over 10 years, over a decade of documentation, a decade of a lot of beautiful, happy, joyful emails, and a decade of some of those emails that you hold on to in the moment, and eventually you have to find that time to let it go. And none of these were organized. Again, these were just emails in my inbox. I hadn't made a little side tag and put them away. I hadn't put them on a shelf. I had literally left them in my inbox as a constant reminder. It means that every time I opened my email, there was this part of me that registered. That's something I don't want to deal with. And it was this tiny little irritation. It's like a rock in your shoe when you're walking down the road, tiny little irritation. And I would just avoid it. And I kept leaving it, which is how I'd gotten up to over 900 emails. Every single time I opened my emails, every single time I went in to check something and I saw that I had over 900, and I would go to 600, then 700. And then, as I built up, every single time I opened up, there was this tiny little part of me that recognized that there is an issue. There is this dark corner that I'm trying to pretend does not exist, which is very much right there in my face. And I keep ignoring it. It's like that elephant in the room. It's the mental inbox of, yeah, somebody hurt me and I've got an email to prove it. Instead of letting it go, instead of healing, instead of removing that and just letting that wound heal, I was flabbergasted with myself in this one moment of, wow, are you kidding? So 2 hours later and over 400 emails later, I felt so much better, so much lighter, so much like, yeah, this is amazing. And I felt even more of those wounds close up, more of those pains just go away. Like I could just feel the healing in choosing to delete and remove that old stuff that I was holding on to, that really I didn't need to hold on to anymore. And it just felt so good. And it's right along with spring cleaning. I decided to spring clean my inbox. Now, I do have more to spring clean. I stopped after 2 hours because I really needed to go on and do other things. And yet that time in and of itself is a beautiful example, because oftentimes we do this, right? We have our mental inbox and we have this thing that is upsetting and frustrated and difficult. And we just say, I don't want to deal with it right now. And we kind of just put it away and we say, I'll come back to that later. And it's always there and it's always there and it's always there. And if we would stop and say, you know what, I'm going to take care of that. Maybe if we took care of it sooner, it wouldn't have taken up all of that other mental capacity. We wouldn't have lost so much time in holding on to it. I spent 2 hours deleting all of that. And that 2 hours resembled years of upset and frustration. And I held on to it instead of letting it go. So is there something that you've been holding on to for a really long time? Do you want to spend 2 hours resembling years of upset and frustration and pain? Or would you like to find a way to say, I'm going to let that go and move on? Do you need to have that conversation with someone? Or is it really just something in you where you need to say, you know what? I'm done. I'm going to take that. I'm going to let it go. Maybe you symbolically burn a piece of paper, you flush some toilet paper, or you just go throw a rock into a river and let the river wash it away. Whatever that is that helps you just let it go, that helps you just remove it. Do that little bit of spring cleaning so that here in the amazingness that is spring, now you get to just enjoy even more because you have a spring in your step, because you feel lighter and more joyous, because you have been able to heal those wounds, close them up, and move forward. When I say let it go, I know that it's not as easy as just saying I'm done and moving on. That's not how it happens. Letting it go means that, first off, you are creating the intention of releasing. You have decided to acknowledge that something is there, and you have decided to begin that path to healing. So the way to let it go is first acknowledging that there's something there. What is it? And then you need to figure out how your best next steps forward in releasing that are, because it's going to be different for every single person, and it's going to be different for every issue that you've been dealing with. Many of the emails that I was dealing with, that I was releasing, are things that I have already done a lot of personal healing and reflection and releasing on. For some reason, I was still holding on to those emails. And instead of completely letting go and finishing that last bit of healing, I had chosen to hold on to it. So I had already done a lot of work. I had already done a lot of understanding and healing in order to allow myself to come to the point where I was ready to release. Give yourself compassion and give yourself the permission to take baby steps, because big wounds are not going to go away like that. They are not going to just disappear. However, you can take little steps towards that. And if you need to find help, then find help. Absolutely seek out the tools and the support that you need for moving forward and healing yourself wholly and completely, letting go so that you can be freer. Doesn't matter about the other person. It's about you personally feeling freer and being able to move on in a life that grants you a lot of more joy and happiness because you no longer carry that weight and that burden. I don't think anybody should force themselves to let something go that they're not ready to let go of. That's not going to happen, and you'll end up just kind of festering on it later. You have to be ready. You absolutely have to choose that and be ready for it. So I encourage you to find things that are smaller that you are ready to let go of. Every little bit creates more light. You know, you crack a window just a little bit, right? You let the shade up just a smidge and so much more light comes in, and then you just keep letting it up a smidge. It doesn't have to be big steps. Everything can be small steps. Everything is a movement towards where you really want to be and the joy that you want to bring into your home. So take it easy, take it small. Don't push yourself, because that's just going to create more frustration and upset. My husband and I have started this little thing. We don't do it every week. We have been trying to do it, where we pick a space and we just go through and we clean it out and we reorganize it. Sometimes it's just a 10-minute tidy where we're just going through the entire house and we're just picking things up and putting things away, putting, pens in drawers, putting the tape away that I pulled out yesterday, and putting the puzzles where they belong, cleaning up all the papers from our laptops, whatever that is. We do a 10-minute tidy, or we might decide to organize an entire spot. So we'll take everything out of the cupboards and we'll get rid of the stuff that we no longer need, and we'll donate this and let this find a loving new home, and just redesign that entire space in the way that we store things in it and make it just so much more functional and amazing. And it feels so much better. We do it together because it means that we're both letting go, we're both clearing out, we're both cleaning up. Maybe all you need to do is a little cleanup on your house and you want to clean up this one little area. Maybe you have something a little bit deeper that you want to focus on and face and deal with in the same aspect. I had someone tell me once that an external mess is very symbolic of internal upset. And the challenge with that or the idea of that is crazy and fabulous to me, because I have noticed that when I leave more of a mess around my house or in my closet, if I don't put my clothes away and whatnot, it generally is because internally I'm struggling and I'm upset with something. So is there an internal mess being manifested by your external chaos that's around you? And if so, is there a way that you can find a little piece, that you can change that up a little bit and heal it in some beautiful, wonderful way? So it's more than just mirrors. It's more than just windows. And I encourage you to take stock of where can you let some old crap go? Where can you heal a wound? What can you clean out? What's hidden in a hard drive? Or maybe it's in plain sight. Either way, you're going to feel lighter. You're going to be more excited for the wonderful new way that the world is showing its spring. So if you're looking for ideas, and it's not necessarily an internal thing, maybe it's a new scent. Maybe you want a new candle or new incense or new dish soap so that you're more excited to wash the dishes. Maybe you rearrange a room for a new perspective. Move the couch to a new location, or just change things up. I have a stock of teas. We're coming up on spring, and maybe it's just time for me to make some iced tea and enjoy some iced tea while I'm outside writing and enjoying that. Refresh. Clear out the old so that there is so much more space for the new. I'm excited for the new spring, and I hope that you find something wonderful and amazing to let go of and bring in as well.